As Russia's assault on Ukraine intensifies and so many families continue to be displaced, the future of the country's education system hangs in the balance. Since Russian President Vladimir Putin's troops invaded on February 24th, UNICEF estimates 17% of the schools it supports in eastern Ukraine have been either badly damaged or destroyed. And hundreds of schools across the country have been a target of artillery and airstrikes. So joining me now is UNICEF spokesman James Elder to discuss the impact that this is going to have not only on those schools and this generation right now, but on their future and what is still yet to come. James, thanks so much for being here. First things first, where are you joining us from and how would you describe what you've been seeing?
Yeah, hi there. I'm in Dnipro in the east of the country. Look, it's a stressful situation. There was another air attack today, this afternoon, where we saw aerial defence stop a missile from landing. So there's a lot of time in bunkers, a lot of time underground, a lot of time delivering supplies to people. There's more than 100 shelters in this city for people who fled from those areas close to the contact line, close to the front line. So day in, day out, UNICEF is getting hygiene, nutrition, care packs, education packs to those places. So, look, they're long days for everyone, but particularly Ukrainians who wake up day in, day out to their country under attack.
I mean, James, I know that thousands of Ukrainian children have been forced to flee under these conditions. And when we're talking about war, priority number one is survival and everything else is secondary. How would you say these kids are holding up under these awful circumstances?
Yeah, it's a good question. Look, I think it's so important to remember that the duty of care for children goes beyond keeping them alive. So whether it was this week when we had UNICEF psychologists getting children off the bus from those people that had come out of the steelworks after that evacuation, that immediate care that's not just nutrition and water, but is to try and address the trauma for these children who have lived in hell, underground, literally in hell, and an unimaginable kind of stress. So it's about psychological help, but it's about, as you spoke earlier, it's about school. It's about anything that can create a bit of normalcy for children who, unfortunately, the lesson for them today is an air raid siren means get out of your bed and get to a bunker. Safety, there is no safety pretty much anywhere. So they're unfortunately learning that the world can be an unpredictable and cruel place. So an organisation like UNICEF, yeah, it's nutrition, yes, it's water, but it's also a safe space. It's a counsellor, it's an educator, it's something online, it's something for these children to break the horrors of day-to-day war.
So it does sound like, despite everything, you're trying as best as you can to continue with a regular school day. And what would a regular school day look like for some of these kids now?
Yeah, it's very much online now. The last month or two has been lost. But, the bittersweet, I guess, no sweet. The reality of COVID was it taught the world, including in Ukraine, to teach online. So UNICEF has a great, curriculum set out with the government that the government's kept pouring online. So we notify kids through social media, through radio, and there remain online classes. Now, obviously, here they're getting closer to summer, so school has almost has been cancelled for the year. We want to do catch-up lessons. We want counsellors doing stuff with children. We want, here in Dnipro, we're setting up areas for children, big setups where they can learn English, learn IT, technology, which are the things they want to learn over the summer, because, again, a lot of things are going to be indoors for these children because increasingly it's not safe for them to be outside for long periods.
We mentioned that horrible statistic from UNICEF at the beginning of this segment, James. 17% of the schools in eastern Ukraine that you support have been damaged or outright destroyed since Russia began this invasion. Perhaps it's optimistic, but I think we would like to believe eventually this conflict will end and these Ukrainians can return to their homes. But what is the impact on the future of education going to be here?
Yeah, we've seen it before, unfortunately, whether, from a Yemen to a Syria, the longer a conflict goes on, the longer we deal with trauma for children, the stress for their parents of remembering parents are their first responders. So UNICEF tries to address that as well. So the longer a conflict goes on, the longer the damage is done to children. But as you rightly show, this is not just trauma for children. This is an insane amount of schools and hospitals that continue to be hit in this war. This is somehow a cruelty that is a modern day reality. Children seem to be on the front line. We seem to have large, heavy artillery consistently being used in residential areas in cities across this country. So that's destroying schools, that's destroying health facilities, and that's destroying lives. Hundreds of children have now been killed in this war because of these consistent attacks in civilian areas. So we make a plea again and again for that to stop. We're a humanitarian organisation. While it continues, we will continue as best we can with everything from counselling to rebuilding water systems to rebuilding schools. But this is triage under this consistent bombardment.
How about in all of the countries that have been taking in just enormous numbers of refugees? I'm sure that there's also those efforts. How are they able to manage this influx of students, and how can people continue to help with that effort?
Yeah, there's some good news there. I mean, Poland, by way of example, has already got hundreds of thousands of children of Ukrainian children into their education system. That's immense. That's obviously the immense numbers that have left Ukraine and are displaced here. We look now at almost since the very first moment of this war, every second, if you will, almost every second a Ukrainian child has become displaced. It's unprecedented in modern history. So these neighbouring countries that you show have been quite amazing in welcoming and absorbing into their social system. But yes, there's an immense strain on them. So that support from governments, from the European Union, from the United States, and businesses and mums and dads is fundamental to keeping those systems going, keeping that generosity, because as you rightly said, we don't know when this war is going to stop.
UNICEF spokesperson James Elder. James, we appreciate your time and all your effort there on the ground.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.